What's up, guys? PowerManiac720 here, and I have for you Game 2 of my top 4 match versus Jeff Falberg, aka Shinkou. He beat me in Swiss, and then I tried to make some adjustments, tried to not bring Trick Room, and it ended up not working. So he won Game 1, so I have to win Games 2 and 3 to move on to the finals. So Game 1, I decided to not bring Trick Room, see how that worked out. It didn't work out very well, so for Game 2, I decided to lead with my hard Trick Room lead and just kind of go for it. So enter Gardevoir and Amoonguss, and he leads Meowstic and Garchomp, so I'm like, sweet, like, barring any sort of, like, Rock Slide flinches, I should have an easy Trick Room setup. And he ends up protecting Garchomp, so, like, even better. But he goes for the Swagger onto Gardevoir. I should have still... My logic was, like, he's got spread move. I assumed he was just going to safe swag. So I immediately tried to get some damage in on the Garchomp. I lucked out, though. I was able to hit through the Swagger with... I was able to not hit through the Swagger. I was able to move through the Swagger. So he withdraws... Garchomp switches in Rotom Wash, and he sets up Safeguard, which once again is really scary. I go for the Giga Drain onto that spot. It does just under half, maybe 45% damage. And I believe I go for the Moonblast also on that spot, but I end up hitting myself in confusion, so it doesn't matter. So I switch out Gardevoir since I'm confused, and I switch in Ampharos. And he ends up going for the Swagger onto my Amoonguss. So now my Amoonguss is confused, and things are just not looking too good for me at the moment. Although I do get off another Giga Drain, which is nice. So it's going to activate his Citrus Berry, brings him down real low. So at this point in the match, like, I'm feeling pretty decent. This was the big turning point, though, is he ended up going for a Hydro Pump onto Ampharos' spot, which doesn't do a huge chunk of damage, but it still does enough damage that it hurt. So this turn right here was definitely, like, a great move on his part, turning point in the match. Not this turn, the next turn. So he ends up protecting with Rotom Wash. I end up going for, I think I end up double targeting Meowstic. So he goes for the Swagger onto my Ampharos. He just spamming Swagger everywhere. So now I have both my Pokemon confused. And Ampharos has pretty decent physical attack, so like that can come back to bite me. So I go for the Giga Drain, he protects himself. Ampharos is confused, ends up hitting itself. I went for the Thunderbolt onto Meowstic. So I switch out Ampharos since I'm confused. And I decided to switch in Gardevoir. And I once again Trace Prankster for the third time. 3 times I've Trace Prankster against him. This was the big turn right here. Sorry, I thought it was last turn. He switches out Rotom Wash for Tyranitar. And he ends up swaggering Tyranitar. And I think this was the last turn of Safeguard too. So it was a really big move. He's able to cleanly get in Tyranitar and get to +2. I was just so... I guess that's the power of Safeguard, really, is that... Sorry, not Safeguard, Swagger. Is that it forces your opponents to switch if they don't want to hurt themselves, and when you switch, you get clean switching. So now I am staring down a +2 Tyranitar, and things are definitely not looking good for me. But luckily, also, Trick Room runs out, so now I'm faster than Tyranitar, which I learned in another match against him. I don't remember which match, but I learned that I'm faster than him, so I still do have a chance. So he goes for the Swagger onto my Amoonguss. And now Amoonguss is confused. Gardevoir goes for the Moonblast. Does a huge chunk of damage, just not enough. He goes for the Rock Slide. I need Amoonguss to survive the Rock Slide so I can Giga Drain, and luckily Amoonguss is a super bulky Pokemon, so I do indeed survive, but I flinch, and that flinch was huge. I don't think it would have been enough to KO, but it would have been close. If I hadn't flinched there, then I could have KO'd right through the through that. So Amogus is confused again, and I go to Protect, and I end up hitting myself in Confusion. I'm at +4 attack, so it does a pretty decent amount. And then he ends up hitting me with Psychic to KO me. So at this point in the match, like, it's pretty much over. Like, I don't really have much of a chance. And then he reveals Brick Break, and I'm just like, what? Like, I thought at least I had a small chance because I was able to KO the Tyranitar. I figured I was going to be able to KO Tyranitar with Hammer Arm, and then I would have had Ampharos and Pangoro versus Garchomp and Tyranitar, or Meowstic, which I think I could have won. But it doesn't matter. He goes for the Swagger. He outspeeds me, of course, because I'm incredibly slow, and Crunch is easily enough to KO me since I'm only at about half health. So I ended up getting 2-0'd in top 4. Jeff ended up winning, so for the 5th time this year, the person I lose to in Top Cut ends up winning the Premier Challenge. So keep that in mind if you ever play me in Top Cut. I really like this team. One thing I would change, though, like I said earlier, is I'd probably drop Ally Switch for Protect because I didn't use it once in the whole tournament. So anyway, until next time, guys, bye.